Most agents are turning a blind eye to artificial intelligence because they don't understand the practical applications that they could be using it for in order to close more deals and better service their clients. This one conversation will give you the framework of how to save thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours, and even eliminate the need for a virtual assistant, a social media manager, and an admin in your local market center. Today, I've got the pleasure of bringing on Adam Gillespie, who has not only been teaching agents how to use CRMs for 10 years, he's also the most well-versed and knowledgeable person I've ever seen in the real estate industry when it comes to leveraging artificial intelligence in practical ways, from inspection reports and appraisals to being able to clone yourself so that you can enhance your personal brand and not hurt it like most people who are just using run-of-the-mill prompts in ChatGPT. Adam's going to walk you through how you can clone yourself in order to amplify your marketing, skyrocket your personal brand, and start to generate a ton more leads in a fraction of the time with a fraction of the effort. So, two quick things before bringing on Adam. Number one, I will link his channel below because he has an unbelievable channel where he walks through endless CRM and AI and ChatGPT tutorials so that you could start to elevate your business. And number two, he actually just launched a free training showing you various details of what we're going to be walking through in a screen recorded format so that you can follow along step by step and know exactly how to clone yourself within just 45 to 60 minutes. If you want that free training, drop a comment below, just say free training. Otherwise, let's bring on Adam and give you the framework that you need in order to get ahead of the curve, not fall behind it like most agents, and properly introduce AI and ChatGPT into your real estate business to close more deals. All right, Adam, so super excited to dive into probably one of the hottest topics in real estate right now, which is leveraging AI. You know, you've obviously got a wealth of experience when it comes to teaching agents on CRMs for the last 10 years, and you've got incredible content on your YouTube channel for that. So I encourage people to, click the link in the description and go check out your tutorials on CRMs. But we're going to dive into all things AI, ChatGPT, and making sure agents don't miss capitalizing on this unbelievable opportunity that we know is here to stay. So before diving in, let's just give yourself a bit of an introduction, who you are, where you're from, your background, what got you to this point, and then we'll start diving into some tactical ways to leverage AI as a realtor.
Yeah, man. First off, thanks for having me on. I'm Adam Gillespie. I am a musician turned real estate agent / geek. And basically, just spent a big majority of the first portion of my life just trying to figure out how to, get my band online and how to push that out and, recording and all of this tech geeky stuff. So when I got into real estate, one of the quickest things I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really similar to being in a band as far as, the marketing and tech side goes. So in late 2022, about November of 2022, my sister tells me, hey, there's this new program called ChatGPT coming out and you got to check it out. And my initial like perception of it was like, okay, this is just going to be a new Google, right? Like this is just going to be a new way to search for things. And quickly I found out that no, this is the great equalizer, right? This is something that's came out that's given us the capabilities as normal people to compete with the big corporations as far as marketing, advertising, content creation, all of that good stuff. So quickly realized that we as the general public were given a weapon that we can use to equalize us with the big fish in the sea. So super excited about the release of that. And I just dove in, and now it's, 2024 and I've got thousands of hours inside of ChatGPT, and it's just become my primary tool for business.
That's awesome, man. And it's that's kind of the goal of this conversation, is to help agents and encourage agents to understand the importance of making this a primary pillar of your business, because so many people are really not understanding or leveraging the practical applications of using this. A lot of people think it's, one-click script or a one-click search, and really not harnessing the power of what it is. And I've seen what, people like yourself have done with it, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. It eliminates the entire need for an assistant, a virtual assistant, a social media manager, a content planner. Like, you could save thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours if you just properly understand how to do it. And so I'd love for you to maybe set the tone with practical applications and how agents should maybe view AI and artificial intelligence and ChatGPT so that they have the right perspective and mindset going into it.
Yeah. And that's a really big thing right now is the perception of AI in our business, right? There's a lot of fear talk going around. people who don't understand what this technology is and what it brings, they immediately default to the extremes, right? Like, oh my God, AI is going to take our jobs. We're all going to be, unemployed someday. And you're helping that usher that in by using AI. And the actuality is that we're not there, right? Is there going to come a day where AI will become a disruptor in business? Yes, probably, but not anytime soon. So what we have to position ourselves as, or the perspective that we need to take, is that we can actually utilize AI right now in our business to enhance the client experience, right? To enhance us as business people. Like you said, this replaces a VA. This replaces the need for a social media marketing manager. This replaces a lot of those needs. And if you use it correctly, then you're going to get all of that awesome stuff that we all cherish so much back, which is our time, right? So the biggest thing that I see most agents do is, like you said before, is that they go in and they put one little tiny prompt in and they think that it's going to give them the actual perfect result. And that's where most agents go wrong. It's more of a conversation. So I like to tell people, like, you need to imagine that you've just gone downtown to the most expensive office building out there, and you're sitting down with an expert on whatever subject it is that you're trying to get information on. And now you're going to have a conversation with them. Right? Like, you wouldn't go to your FA, your financial advisor, and give him a one sentence and expect him to be able to completely change your business and your financial future. You'd have to conversate with him and go back and forth until he can get a good understanding, or she can get a good understanding of what it is that you're trying to achieve and what that looks like coming into your business. And that's the exact same perspective we need to take with ChatGPT.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I've seen people talk about, and you brought this up on our last virtual event, if somebody's looking at, for example, my niche, YouTube. Imagine if somebody was sitting down with me, what kind of conversation would you have if we had a 30-minute Zoom call? What questions would you be asking me in order to get the outcome that you're looking for? And, people are kind of expecting that one sentence that they prompt in there is going to give them the perfect result. And if it doesn't, then they just move on to a completely separate prompt instead of saying, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Please make it more like this, or I actually want that, and start to dive in and have those conversations. But I think it's important for agents to understand that they need to lay the foundation and the groundwork to get to the point where it understands you. And looking at building that library of conversations in ChatGPT to the point that you will get to the point where you can put in one sentence and it'll give you what you want, but you have to lay the foundation to get there. It's almost like, for example, and maybe this gives better context to people, if you were bringing on a virtual assistant, you wouldn't just say, hey, go do this job. You need to create a training library of content and spend tons of time building that foundation so that when you ask them to do something again, they know exactly what to do. But you have to treat AI like that. You just don't have to pay them. And so you have to go in with the perspective of saying, hey, I'm going to take a couple hours a day or an hour a day for the next couple of weeks, and I'm just going to train this. I'm going to help it better understand who I am, who I serve, what my goals are, what platforms I'm using, what lead generation strategies I'm using. And after those couple of weeks, you'll probably get to the point where you do have a foundation and you can now start to leverage the full capacity of it. But too many people aren't understanding that you need to build that proper foundation first.
100%. I realized early on that I could get this thing to talk like me, right? And that was step one, right? It was like, okay, if I could get it to duplicate my speech patterns, then maybe the content that it puts out would sound more like me, and there'd be less editing and all of that good stuff needed, right? And then level 2 came in, and where it's like, well, what if ChatGPT knew everything about my business? What if it knew how I got here, where I want to go, what my target audience is, all of those good things just layered out, right? So I go through a process with it where I basically teach it all about my business. I start off with a prompt that's, in short, it's just basically saying, hey, in this conversation, you're going to learn everything there is to know about my business. And before we get started, what questions would you have to give you the best clarity on it, right? So I'm putting the ball in ChatGPT's court to be able to tell me what it wants, so that way it can get the understanding that it's looking for me. And we go through that process, and it's a long, drawn out process. If you do it right and you answer everything correctly, you're going to spend a few hours with ChatGPT, and once it learns your business, and then you can get your speech patterns programmed into it, Now you have a starting foundation, like you said, where this already knows about you. It already knows everything that you need. So now we can do things and use simpler prompts. Like you'll hear a lot of us tech geeks call like few shot prompting and zero shot prompting. And basically what that is that's me going in and telling ChatGPT, hey, I want to write an ebook on AI. Give me an outline. Like that's a zero shot prompt, right? And those do not work on out of the box ChatGPTs, right? But if I have everything programmed in there properly and it knows all of that information we just discussed, and now I say, hey, write me an ebook. Well, ChatGPT is going to be like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, I know that you're an agent, or that you're a licensed realtor. I know how long you've been in business. I know that your primary focus now is coaching agents on AI and CRM. So let's write a book about Agent Prompt University. Right. So I'm able to get these phenomenal results off of very little prompting versus when you're using a blank model of ChatGPT, where, an example of a few shot prompt would be like, hey, ChatGPT, my name's Adam Gillespie. I'm a licensed realtor in Denver, Colorado for eXp Realty. I also help agents with AI. I'd like to create an ebook that goes along this line, this line. Here's an example of what I want that to look like. Here's an example of my speech patterns. Please create me an outline. So you can see where that prompting gets extremely long. So the benefit that we get by cloning ourselves basically inside of ChatGPT simplifies this process so much that the average agent who's not techie, who doesn't want to learn how few shot prompting works, can actually work this and get insane results.
100%, dude. And I've seen what that looks like because, I've done examples of, okay, you can create a general YouTube script on here for a video within, just explaining who you are, where you're from, what type of content you're going to do, and what are some of the key takeaways you want from that. It'll give you a pretty good script, but it doesn't sound like you. And so with yours, when I've ever, you've done demonstrations with uploading your speech patterns, when that video comes out with one click, it sounds identical to you. And I know you pretty well. And so I know all the nuances of how you speak in your dialogue, and it's you to a T.
Yeah.
And you've done that groundwork, you've done that foundation. And maybe I think that's a good place to kind of take this next couple minutes of conversation is, where do people start for that? If somebody's looking to say, hey, I've got ChatGPT 4.0, I'm ready to rock, I'm using it. I want my blogs, my emails, my newsletters, my postcards, my videos to sound like me. Because I think a lot of people are dabbling in AI or ChatGPT, for example, and their marketing is now becoming subdued and it's almost being muted because they're using all of this templated generic stuff, which actually hurts your personal brand. But when you do it your way, it amplifies your personal brand. So if somebody's looking to start today and say, I want to make sure that anything I put into ChatGPT sounds like me, what kind of steps would you recommend somebody to go through?
The first thing that you want to do is you want to train it on yourself and your business, right? And then following that, you need to figure out a way to get your speech patterns up into there. And we have an awesome masterclass that you and I just released that's completely free, that'll show you step by step exactly how to do this and build your content calendar, and even take some productivity and time management inside of ChatGPT to improve that. So that's probably the number one best way to do it, because that'll give you the step-by-step. It'll give you all the prompts and everything that you would need to do to actually clone yourself into ChatGPT. But for a 30,000 foot view of it, it's really just about learning about your business and going deep with ChatGPT on that, and then figuring out a way for ChatGPT to understand your speech patterns. So whether that's, transcribing a YouTube video, or maybe even you just pitching your buyer and seller listing presentations, right? You just pitch it to the camera with just you, act like you're actually doing it, and transcribe that. And there's your speech patterns in a nutshell, right? And then getting that into ChatGPT and creating a custom GPT that always stores that knowledge in there. So at any given time, like I can go onto ChatGPT right now and I can just click AI Adam and I can go. I can copy an email and say, respond to this email, and here's my thoughts on it, right? And then ChatGPT is going to spit that email out sounding exactly like it was written with me, taking that email in the direction that I told it I wanted to. And I don't have to spend all that time thinking about, okay, what do I want to say here? How do I respond to this in such a way? I can leave that up to ChatGPT. And then we can even go deeper with it, where we start using things like neurolinguistic programming, and all of the stuff that we may not already know on the top of our heads is already embedded embedded inside of the data set for ChatGPT, so it can make us more effective communicators via email, via text, and via scripts, So if you were to say, I'm brand new at ChatGPT, what's the first thing I need to do? Clone yourself. Absolutely clone yourself. And I promise you, you'll have a completely different product than 99% of the other agents out there.
100%. And yeah, I've seen that masterclass. And again, guys, just drop a comment below, say free training, and we'll send you that masterclass, because it literally does. Adam walks through step by step exactly how to clone yourself, because it's a complex process for somebody that is trying to do it themselves and has no idea where to start. But in that training, you make it so simple that anybody by the end of that training can do it. Even I was blown away, because it's made a world of a difference in my own business. And I thought I understood ChatGPT, but realized I didn't have a clue until I watched how you were using it. So you're going to want to make sure to check out that free training that Adam just released. But, let's kind of talk about some of the practical applications of this, because, yes, I think it's important to be able to clone yourself and be able to make sure that it sounds exactly like you, so that it's not hurting your brand, but rather accelerating it. But you have been using it in some really creative ways that are actually impacting your deals. Like, again, I think a lot of people look at it as it's content, or it's blogs or emails or just written ideas, searches. We'll get back to GPTs, because I think that's a whole other animal to talk about, but practical applications of it. What are some of the ways you see people can use it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for their actual real estate business with clients?
Yeah. So many things, right? And when I tell people that I use ChatGPT in over 80% of my business, to this day, I think it's an understatement, right? Like, there's been so many ways that I've used it for practical applications. I mean, starting with just, ChatGPT is a multimodal large language model. So it's not just text to text output. It also can see things, right? And a lot of people don't understand this yet, is that you can upload a picture to ChatGPT and it can visually describe that picture. So you'll see a lot of other people out there that are like, hey, you can use ChatGPT to write listing descriptions, which is basically scratching the surface. That's like beginner stuff, which is awesome. But imagine this. So you got a brand new listing coming on the market. You just got done with photography. You want to write that listing description. Typically, what 99% of agents are going to do is they're going to go pull up the old listing. They're going to look that up online, pull up that old listing, copy that, throw it into ChatGPT, say, hey, rewrite this, right? Well, I do it a little bit differently. So what I do is I take all of those photos and I upload them into ChatGPT. It'll only let you do 10 at a time. So if you're like me and you got 30 to 40 photos, well, you've got a couple of uploads that you have to do. And then I upload the public records. And then I tell ChatGPT, my clone, write a listing description based on this information in my style. And now ChatGPT is able to visually decipher those pictures. It can see that it's got a marble fireplace and a 30-foot foyer, right? So it starts to describe this house based on the pictures and images we put it in my style. So I don't have to spend the time to try to create this. I don't have to go dig up old data and just copy and rip stuff off. I get a full brand new custom listing description based on this specific property, all by using ChatGPT properly, right? And like I said, that's just the surface. Like, going into some more advanced stuff, like I had a situation where I was under contract on a non-conforming property. So the property was it was a residential property in an industrial area. But the key is that the property was built before that area went industrial. And when I had my client under contract on that, the appraiser, the bank's appraiser, didn't even want to go out there and appraise it. He said, no, this is non-conforming. The highest and best use is not residential. And I thought we were done. I was like, oh no, my client, now I have to go back to my client and say, hey, I'm sorry, but this isn't even really a residential house. But I'm like, no way, I'm not going to settle for that. There's got to be another way. So what did I do? I went onto the county website. I downloaded all of the zoning and regulations for that city, uploaded that into ChatGPT, told ChatGPT about this entire situation, and ChatGPT was able to go through those regulations, find the grandfather clause, find out that there was actually a lot size limit for industrial zoning of 2 acres. This property was below 2 acres. So even if it was highest and best use industrial, the lot size prohibited it from becoming industrial. And with all of that information, there was a little bit more in there, but I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with it. But with all the information I was able to extract manually or automatically from ChatGPT, I had ChatGPT write an email in my style, to the lender and appraiser company. And long story short, we got it appraised. They went out and they did a residential appraisal on it and they approved it. So this is one of those things where ChatGPT can be your lawyer. ChatGPT can be your content creator. ChatGPT can be your VA. ChatGPT can be your coach. Like, I literally, like, when we get contract changes, like we all as real estate agents, we have to do continued education, right? And there's, when we do our commission updates, there's always changes to the contract. Well, I throw that new contract into ChatGPT and I say, hey, quiz me on this and let's start beginner and then let's go all the way to advanced and give me these crazy scenarios that only somebody with an absolute understanding of this contract could answer. And ChatGPT can take you from a beginner to an absolute expert on your contracts, all without having to pay a coach. So it's really unlimited what you can do with it. It's the best thing that I think we've ever had as human beings in the knowledge department.
100%, dude. And maybe even talk about inspection reports, because that's something that is, pretty common, especially since most agents are working with buyers, and, it could be a headache to either A, read through it yourself, or B, trust that the inspector, especially if you're using a new one, just mapped out the exact details you need to care about. Because I've had situations where they've said, hey, these are the only things you need to care about, but then I read into the fine details and it's like, wow, there's a bunch of other things. And if I just relayed that message to my client, we could have dropped the ball. So let's talk about inspection reports as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, how you say it, right? Like, the inspectors always choose at the beginning of the report what they want to summarize as being bad, but that's all subjective opinion. And that might not match what our clients or us see as well. So you can upload the inspection report into ChatGPT. It can analyze it in a matter of seconds and it can spit it out. So, like, for example, I'll take an inspection report into ChatGPT and I'll say, please analyze the entire report and summarize it, and then show me the issues based on safety, based on cosmetics, and break that down into individual subcategories so I can have a very organized inspection objection or inspection notice that I can bring to my clients, right? That shows that it's very thorough. And it can even go deeper than that, right? Like, clients come back and they say, oh man, I realize that we have this old Federal Pacific electrical panel and it needs to be replaced. What do we ask for? Well, if you don't have a contractor on hand to give you an immediate result, you can go into ChatGPT and say, hey, browse the web and find me the average cost to replace an electrical panel in Denver, Colorado, 2024. And ChatGPT will scrub the web for that data and give you a ballpark to where when you start sending out contractors to give you quotes on that, we know whether those quotes are in line with the average or not, right? And it helps us leverage ourselves as more of an expert to our clients, which is what our job is, right? So I've found this very useful. Every time that I get an inspection report, even if I read it myself, I still throw it into ChatGPT and I always find something that I missed, right? Because this is a computer analyzing the data. It's not us. It doesn't care if there's kids in the background screaming or if somebody's calling or if your doorbell just rang. ChatGPT is going to be able to get all this information, save it for you. And then when you're not so distracted, you can come back and grab a hold of that. And yeah, like it's insane, man. Like, I even have it after it analyzes that. I'll upload a previous inspection objection that's outlined and has the wording that I like on my inspection objections, because I usually stay pretty legal with the wording. I'll upload that and I'll say, here's an example of what I want an inspection objection to look like. Based on this report that you analyzed, create me an inspection objection, and it does it to where I can just copy and paste that into my contract.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. And again, it's about creating efficiencies and creating leverage of your business and your time, because you can manually do that, or that's where a lot of people, fall short with real estate in terms of scaling, is they start to get into momentum, but they're doing every activity manually to the point where they can't scale and create leverage, and thus they get stuck at 5, 10, 15, 20 deals a year and can't surpass that until they start to hire people. But you're at the point now where you don't need to hire people. You can just properly leverage a tool. And, I think that goes into maybe one of my last practical questions related to use case. You've got a ton of experience with different CRMs. And this is one of the things that we've had a lot of conversations about with different agents of saying, I just chose this CRM, whatever one they happen to choose. And I want a drip campaign. I want a nurturing sequence for my sphere, for my online leads. But I hate all of the ones that it comes with because it doesn't sound like me. It's too salesy. It's too bland. Where you've been able to leverage ChatGPT to create multi-year nurturing campaigns or really strategic lead campaigns for buyers, for sellers, for different types of people. What are some of the applications people should be considering using ChatGPT for when it comes to their CRM and nurturing clients?
Yeah, my CRM and my ChatGPT go hand in hand. I have used ChatGPT to create all of my email and automatic text campaigns, all of my newsletters, my follow-up, everything in there I've used ChatGPT for, because I've got a lot of experience with CRMs. I've been using them for a very long time. I've used all of the big players. And one thing that is absolutely common with all of them is that they'll usually give you a library of a couple of drip campaigns, but those campaigns are full of salesy language like, what's your time frame? Are you ready to buy? Oh, hey, you came into my system looking for a home evaluation. Did you want to set up that appointment and we can get your house sold for top dollar? This is not what people want to hear. And this is why you have such a general census across the industry that CRMs suck. Right. And as the real estate the industry starts to change a little bit and our marketing efforts become even more important now, they don't suck. They don't suck. It's the actual drip campaigns that do suck. So if you're just getting started on a CRM and you're like, hey, how do I get actual converting campaigns? Well, ChatGPT is your answer on that, right? Once again, going back to having it cloned to our personality, I will go into ChatGPT and I will say, hey, I'd like to create a campaign, an email drip campaign that's strictly informational and does not have any salesy language or ask them if they're ready to buy or sell. And I'd like to do this about first-time home buyers. I would like to send out 2 emails a month for the next 3 years or 36 months. And then I want those emails to be short and sweet, easily digestible, and like I said, staying away from all of that sales language, right? And just being informative about the process of purchasing a home. ChatGPT will create that outline, right? And then we get this outline, and then you can start copying each individual email and saying, let's write this email in my style. And then it spits that out. And I just copy and paste, go back and forth from the CRM to ChatGPT. And I've built out custom campaigns for every single source of leads that I get into my CRM. So I currently, I get first-time home buyers. I've got downsizers. I have veterans. I have new build campaigns that are specific to Denver. So this is where it can really get cool is I go into ChatGPT and we browse the web to find out what is all of the current new build situations going on. Where's the new neighborhoods at? What are people looking for? Who's the energy efficient builders, right? Like we're in Colorado and climate is a big thing for a lot of people. So they want energy efficient houses. Well, I went in and gathered all this data and then created a drip campaign that tailors to this. Now it's temporary, right? Like the market changes and so does the build. So we have to go back and revisit and change this. But I'm able to create a year-long campaign with current statistics in it for my clients in just a matter of like 45 minutes or so, right? So then I can go back and I can edit that later when things start to change. But the reality is that my campaigns are bar none compared to everybody else. And if you have the assumption that when your leads come into your system, they've signed up with at least 5 other agents, well, you're going to stick out because those other 5 agents are probably using canned emails or no CRM in general. And you're sending these people tailored content that's accurate, up to date, and in your style. And I repeat, in your style, because that is what sells you, right? That's what puts you apart from the other realtors. Instead of just talking in the same language, they're like, wow, this guy's got personality, right? He's different. He's not the typical realtor that I see all over the place, and I'm more interested in that, right? So once again, that's just a surface, right? That's just my informative campaigns. Like I still have campaigns that I have it right. Like I do a automatic text campaign, which for my first-time home buyers, that will literally run auto text every day for the first 12 days, attempting to set a 15-minute appointment and nothing more. I'm not qualifying them. I'm not asking them where they're at in the process. I'm just saying, hey, you requested more information about my first-time home buyer program. When's a good time for us to jump on a 15-minute call and I can answer all your questions, right? So I use ChatGPT to formulate these texts in a value-driven way to where it doesn't come across like I'm just trying to nab another commission check, but I'm actually here to help you get the information that you've requested, and it's done all automatically, and it'll run for 12 days. If you don't respond to me in 12 days, then the informational drip kicks in. It waits an additional 60 days, and then another automatic text campaign starts after that. If you don't respond in that, it rinses and recycles the whole process. So I will always be automatically texting you and sending you informational drips until you buy or tell me to stop.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. And again, I think it's nice to have this asset and this resource that can turn something that's typically overwhelming and daunting for most agents, which is something as, complex as a CRM, be able to simplify it and, alleviate that pain point and that fear that so many people have of it doesn't sound like me. And if you just put the groundwork in, like again, your free training shows, it will sound like you. And now with a couple of clicks, you could tell it exactly what type of drip campaign you wanted to build out. And I know that you even talked about on calls before, you can ask it, what is the best frequency for this? How often should I be sending something like this? And it'll tell you because it browses the web. And so, it gives you the answers that you're looking for, and it allows you to alleviate those hesitations that so many people have. I would love to kind of transition over to kind of that next layer. First, maybe helping people understand the state of ChatGPT right now when it comes to ChatGPT 4.0, but then also what GPTs are and some of the applications that can be used in, because I think it's incredible that you've created one for Adam AI, Mike AI, Social Agent Academy AI. You've built out all these tools that, again, just take it a level further where you've got different elements of your business packaged into one centralized hub. And now you go there and it knows everything you need a step further. So what do those two things look like?
Yeah. So just to touch on GPTs really quickly. So those stand for generative pre-trained transformers, which is what ChatGPT in a nutshell is. But ChatGPT is like the jack of all trades, right? So you've heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. This is where GPTs come in, because what we can do is we can take that jack of all trades GPT profile, and then we can hyper focus it on one specific subject, right? So whether that's your AI clone, or whether that's, concentrating on creating an absolute savage of an ad creator for Facebook, like our Facebook ads coach GPT that we created, which will literally coach you on how to set up the perfect Facebook ad based on the Social Agent Academy. So what we're doing is we're just basically tailoring these GPTs for specific scenarios. And this works really well because it prevents hallucinations, right? So while ChatGPT is trained on all these data sets, if it doesn't have a specific direction that you take it in, and you're zero shot prompting a blank chat, well, it's like humans. It doesn't want to not have the answer, right? So what it'll do is it'll make one up. And if you're not scrutinizing this and you don't have enough knowledge on it, you won't catch that. And then you can find yourself putting out bad information, which is not good for your reputation, not good for your business at all, right? So when we take something like a GPT and say, hey, I want to train this on the Denver County zoning regulations and guidelines, then what we're doing is we're uploading a new data set inside of ChatGPT that it can analyze every time we ask it a question and make sure that those answers are in line with the data that we gave it. So GPTs become very, very important. So that's my quick little run on GPTs, but to kind of go back to where you're talking about with the new ChatGPT model 4.0, this is an incredibly capable model, right? So it's now available to everybody for free. So I'm getting a lot of questions of like, well, what's the use of having ChatGPT Plus if I can get 4.0 for free? Well, the short answer to that is that if you're on Plus, you get 80 prompts every 3 hours. If you're not on Plus, then I think you get like 6 to 10. And it's just not enough to do the work, right? Now, ChatGPT 4.0 is very, very, very capable. There's going to be new vision techniques that are new vision capabilities that come out with it. And the biggest thing that everybody's talking about right now is the voice mode, right? We've had this before in ChatGPT 4, but it was delayed. So I would ask ChatGPT a question and it would process it, and it just gets really clunky and doesn't really feel like a conversation. Well, with the new update that's still being rolled out slowly, I love how OpenAI does that. They're like, hey, this is what you get, and then we got to wait for it. But with this new function here, like it's instantaneous, and you can interrupt it if it's starting to give you, if it didn't understand your question properly and it starts to go on an explanation, I can stop that just like me and you in a conversation can, right? And then it's instant real time back with vision capabilities. So we see some demonstrations where, they're actually saying, hey, what kind of expression do I have on my face? And he makes a little face and it's like, oh, you look like you're happy at this point in time. That right there is going to be a game changer for us as agents because of what we can do with it, right? So think about this for a second. You're meeting your new client who's not a native English speaker, okay? Typically, we would refer these clients off. Well, now with the new ChatGPT voice mode, it can be our intermediary and our translator instantly, right? So we can go up to this, we can pop open ChatGPT, say, okay, ChatGPT, I'm going to talk to you in English and I need you to respond in Spanish. And when you hear Spanish, I need you to respond in English. ChatGPT is like, great. And it's instant. So we're not waiting for this, right? So I can go to my client and I can say, hey, it's really nice to meet you. What about this neighborhood is it that's got your attention? ChatGPT goes, boom, boom, immediately says it in Spanish. They respond in Spanish. I hear it in English and we're off to the races without having to refer these off, right? So it is one of the most important things, in my opinion, in our business today. So like I said earlier on the call, where I use it for 80% of my business, that's probably an understatement right now, especially with the new updates that are coming out in 4.0. And you combine 4.0's technology with GPTs, and you have yourself the absolute best possible assistant / knowledgeable person, lawyer, whatever it is that you want to call it at that given moment that you have. So for example, what I'll do is the new search capabilities on 4.0 are vastly better than what was on GPT-4 Turbo. So I will use 4.0 to research current market data. I'll copy that market data out of 4.0 and bring it into my GPT, which is still run off of GPT-4 Turbo at the moment, and have it create that script and that update for me based on that current data. And the results that I get are 10 times better than somebody just using ChatGPT-4 Turbo for it.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I love seeing the progression of this. And again, that's why it's so important for people to take this seriously, because similar to social media and the internet, like, it's not going anywhere ever. So when we look at this is one of the rare opportunities that we have as agents have the chance of being an early adopter and start to develop that skill set. It doesn't mean you need to be a master at ChatGPT or leveraging AI tools tomorrow and be able to custom code, but start to find practical ways, start to dabble with it, because knowing that this is here for the long run, the earlier you get started and becoming familiar with it, the better you're going to be able to adapt and implement this into your business. When it's a luxury, as it is right now, eventually it's going to become a necessity. And you don't want to wait until that point in order to start to become familiar and use it in practical ways. I would love to ask you, is there any other AI tools that you recommend agents using? Because ChatGPT is obviously AI / an LLM or language model, but what other tools do you find yourself using that agents might be able to explore as well?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost with ChatGPT, the reason that you hear me talk about it so much is because I think it's so capable, right? There's a lot of other apps that go out there that you'll hear other AI coaches pushing you to, that is literally just a new set of clothes on a ChatGPT model. Right. So, and that's where I think a lot of the misinformation comes in. And a lot of people start to think, well, I can't do AI because after I sign up for this app and this app and this app, I don't have any more money left. Right. So understand that most of these apps are cloaked with ChatGPT, but there are some really good use cases for them. So for example, my next to favorite AI app from ChatGPT is Perplexity AI. And if you haven't heard about Perplexity, Perplexity is amazing, but it's just ChatGPT cloaked, right? Well, it's a little bit more than that. They've got ChatGPT access. They've got Anthropic Claude, which Anthropic Claude is ChatGPT's competition right now. It's got access to a lot of different large language models, right? But where Perplexity is better than ChatGPT, in my opinion, at the moment, but probably not for long, is that it's a research model, right? So this is the direction when ChatGPT first came out in 2022, I thought it was going to be a replacement for Google. When I found Perplexity, I realized I'm now looking at the replacement for Google, right? And the way that Perplexity works is it's a search-based engine, okay? So you get onto it and you're asking it for information just like you would for Google. But the difference is that when Google gives you a response, you have to scroll through the internet and read through all of that data, where Perplexity will read all of that data for you, compile it into one answer, and provide the list of sources for you. So, it'll give me 5 different sources, show me where it got those sources, and compile all of that data together to create an answer via AI for me. And it's using ChatGPT-4 in the background to do that, or ChatGPT 4.0. So you're getting extremely good results. But where it really gets technical is that you can turn off web browsing and have it only study actual published research papers, right? So when we have issues where we're using ChatGPT for research and it could be hallucinating or giving us older, outdated data, we can turn that ability off inside Perplexity and have it only using verified published research papers, which makes sure that our data is absolutely accurate, right? So that is when I go to research and I want to actually pull new data in and I'm looking for hard evidence, I'll go to Perplexity. And now they've come out and they've done something even cooler. They've created a new feature that I'm actually doing a tutorial on my YouTube channel next week about, which is called Pages. Okay. So in order to access Pages, you're going to have to be a Perplexity Plus user, which is $20 a month, just like ChatGPT. But Pages is like a Wikipedia, right? So what's happening here is I can go into Perplexity Pages. I can just type in the title of what I want to talk about. So for me, I went to, I research keywords and I say, okay, what's the most popular search term for first-time home buyers right now? Well, that most popular search term is first-time home buyer tips. So I put that inside the title for Perplexity Pages, and Perplexity will go pull all the data for that and create an actual blog that looks like a Wikipedia page. Now you're probably thinking, well, I can have ChatGPT do this. Well, here's where it gets really cool. Is Perplexity hosts this document that you created. So they are curated, I should say. So this is actually going to have your name on it, saying that you curated this information, and then Perplexity hosts it on their website. And they have the most insane SEO capabilities right now. So what we're seeing is that people that are doing this, these curated AI pages that they're creating are ranking in Google on the first page almost immediately, right? So I ran into a little snag with it where I tried to say at the end of it, I wrote a conclusion in there and I'm like, hey, if you have any questions about buying a home anywhere in the country, contact me because I work with over 3,000 realtors in 22 different countries and I can help you move anywhere. Well, Perplexity said, no, we're not doing self-promotion on this. So I have to figure out a better way to point this to our website. But the reality is that at the top of that page, it says this information is curated by Adam Gillespie. You search my name anywhere on Google and you're going to find out that I'm a real estate agent. So what I'm using this for right now is I'm going on there daily and I'm creating these pages, and they're very quick. They're very, very quick. I can create an entire page in 5 minutes. And then I can walk off and go do something else, but that page starts to rank and it helps with my SEO, right? So Perplexity is a phenomenal app. I recommend that you guys check it out. It's very, very cool. If you have any questions on it, check out my YouTube page. I focus a lot on ChatGPT, Perplexity, and CRMs. And you can see how this can help you with your research and your business as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can't wait to dive into that and again, start to, get in early before a lot of these things become second nature to a lot of people. The earlier you get into any of these opportunities, the more ranking authority you have, the more, credibility you're going to have with it as well. And I don't know anybody else that's doing, tutorials like you are in such a clear way. And I would love to kind of wrap it up with that is, obviously you alluded to it earlier, but you launched Agent Prompt University. And so I would love for you to maybe touch on why you did that and why the effort went through, because I know that there's a number of other AI programs out there that you and I are constantly hearing that people are being, they're having to pay for a bunch of other platforms, or it's just a bunch of recorded Zoom calls that are conversational and that they feel disappointed and that they wasted their money. And there's a lot of agents, unfortunately, that seem to be trying to capitalize on creating training around AI and ChatGPT just to make money, not to make an impact. And I know that you're very impact driven because you've trained thousands of agents over the last years on AI and CRMs. Why did you create Agent Prompt University, and what can people learn about it in terms of what's actually in the program?
Yeah. And this part's really passionate for me, Mike, because I feel like us as agents, we're kind of preyed upon, right? And I'm not trying to get onto the victimization style of things, but when I got into real estate, I thought I was going to pay for real estate school, pay to hang my license, and start doing real estate. I didn't realize that there was going to be fee after fee after fee after subscription, right? So we're already nickel and dimed half to death before we even start our first deal. And then you have something like AI come out and everybody's like, hey, buy my program. It's $6,000. And it's like, whoa, I must get a bunch of stuff for $6,000, right? So you cash a commission check and you're like, yeah, let's buy this program. You buy it. And it's a series of live Zoom calls that are just talking in theory and no practical application, no real tutorials, not really showing you, just telling you what you can do with it. Kind of like what we're doing right now, right? Like it's effective. It gets me excited. I'm like, oh, great, but how do I do it, right? And I couldn't find any of that, right? We bought a couple of different programs. We won't mention anybody's names because we're not about that. But, one program that I bought, if I did everything that program wanted me to do at the end, well, I would have $1,200 a month in AI fees. And I realized real quickly, I'm like, look, everything that these people are doing is taking advantage of agents. And the reality is that we can probably drill down on one app, the best of them all, ChatGPT, and really use it. So we started talking about Agent Prompt University, or about creating an AI course. And one of the biggest things was like, let's do practical applications. Let's actually show people step by step how I use AI, the thousands and thousands of hours that I've put inside of ChatGPT to learn how I can use it in real estate. I can show you in about 9 hours, right? And they're all bite-sized chunks. So it's not like you have to go in and log in and watch an hour-long video to find out that you only really needed the first 5 minutes or the middle 5 minutes. I broke everything down into bite-sized digestible chunks. So if you're like, Adam, I love that you've showed me now how to create a blog, how to create the SEO for that blog, how to create the social media post for that blog, but I forgot how to post it on my website. Well, I have a video that's about 4 minutes long that just shows that part to you. So when you're going through Agent Prompt University, obviously you go through it the first time and you go through it, but no one retains everything right out the gate. So I knew that people would go through my course and then they would need to come back and revisit things. So you and I had this discussion about long and short videos. So we made it a point with Agent Prompt University to really just batch this out into little sections. So it's almost like a study guide, right? You can read the whole book and then you can come back and say, oh yeah, I wanted to know how to get that SEO optimization. And then bam, there's that video right there for you. And it's all practical applications, no theory. I didn't put anything inside that course that I haven't tried and tested myself with results. And that is why right now, we're getting such good feedback on the course itself, because it is easily digestible. It's not going to break your bank. You'll go through my entire 9-hour course, and at the end of it, I've only talked about ChatGPT, Opus clips. We talk a little bit about Midjourney, and then we talk about an amazing new platform out there called Submagic. But the reality is that you can take my whole course and you're at a $20 a month subscription with ChatGPT. You're not spending thousands of dollars on a bunch of cloaked apps that are literally using ChatGPT. So that was the main goal of creating Agent Prompt University, is to try to just get this out there to agents, and not only that, but to get it out there in an affordable way, right? Without trying to break somebody's bank. Charging them 50% of an average commission check just to get access to an AI course is robbery, in my opinion. So that's what we did.
Dude, it's insane. I see people charging $2,000 and it's absolute basic run-of-the-mill stuff that you share for free on your YouTube channel. And I hear about all these other programs, and I hear from people saying it's heavily outdated or it's not updated to the new GPT, and there's nobody's answering the questions like yours. Every single one of those bite-sized videos, it's the same way that I created the Social Agent Academy. They're all screen recorded tutorials. So anybody, even if you're not techie, even if AI, the thought of it overwhelms you, anybody from beginner to expert can go through that and be able to follow along and know exactly what to do. And the thing that I love, the commitment that you've made, is that we know ChatGPT 5 is going to come out, and I'm sure 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 over the next decade. And you update it every time something changes. But not only that, I think one of the most important things that I've seen you do is that you've built a community around it, right? AI is changing at such a rapid pace that sometimes things that were said last week are outdated based on new information this week. And you do these live updates for your community where you constantly keep people on the leading edge of what's happening, so that if something changes, they're the first to know. And so, again, I deeply appreciate you sharing all this incredible advice, Adam. And I'm going to make sure to link the free training below for anybody that comments that. Again, just say free training. We'll send you all the information on Adam's, full 60-minute training on how to clone yourself and various practical applications of what you could do once you've cloned yourself, so that you can get started on the right path, as well as information on Agent Prompt University. So any final words, my man?
Yeah, dive into AI, guys. It's not going away. This is not a fad. This is not a phase. If you don't jump on now while you can still be an early adopter, then you're just going to be constantly playing catch up. And with as fast as the AI industry moves, you're probably not going to be able to catch up. So just get into it now, figure it out. It's, with like Agent Prompt University, you don't have to sit there and think about it, because I've done all of that for you. I can just show you how to use it. You can create your blogs with it. You can use it as a coach. I'm literally building a GPT right now that is going to be, because one of the cool things with the 4.0 release is that ChatGPT now made GPTs available to the general public without having a subscription or even needing to log in. So think about this on a customer service level, where I've created a clone AI of myself. I can put in the data that my customer wants, like search criteria, what neighborhoods they want to be in, and I can train a GPT on this, okay? And I can do it very, very quickly. For those of you that don't know, I can build a GPT that is absolutely dialed in about 20 minutes. It's that simple. There's no coding required. You just have to learn how to use it, which I'll show you in Agent Prompt University. But I'm creating a custom service bot. So when a new client comes into my ecosystem and we actually are out looking at houses, and I say, hey, look, I don't work on Sundays because that's my family days, but here is an AI version of me. You can ask it questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If it doesn't have the right answer for you, it will tell you, hey, I don't have the right answer. Here's Adam's office hours. Call him in the morning. He'll make sure you get the answer. But that is such an amazing tool of customer service, because now if a customer, your buyer's sitting there at 11:30 at night and they're like, oh man, I have this question about, if this happens during the inspection, what are my recourse? Well, I've already trained that into my bot, and they can say, hey, if the seller decides that they don't want to replace an electrical box in an inspection, what does that look like for me? Well, now it's going to lay out all the different options that we can go through, whether we're getting seller credit or whatever that may be. And it can be that expert for them 24/7 while we're out doing other things. So it's the game's changing every day, constantly, but pay attention, jump into the university, because like you were saying with this live community, I'm updating it every single day. Like I go on there, we just live streamed the WWDC conference there, which was for Apple. So my people were the first ones to know. If you weren't able to stream it online, we already knew what all the Apple updates were, what was going on with that. And then it keeps us ahead of the market, right? So it's one of those things where this industry is evolving more quick than we're typically used to when it comes to technology. And having yourself as part of a community like this is going to be bar none, and keep you way ahead of the competition. So full circle back, it's not a phase, right? So jump in now. You can get ahead of the game, or you can play catch up. The choice is up to you. I know most agents will end up playing catch up. So those of us that jump into this and we dive into it now and we embrace it, it's going to pay you dividends in the long run.
100%, man. No, I couldn't have said it better myself. And again, guys, treat this as a priority. Start to become proficient with it, study it, apply it, go through the free training, which is going to give you a wealth of knowledge of exactly how to get started the right way. And again, I'm going to link all of Adam's incredible content below. If you love this video, check out the next one that's on the screen. And it's time to start leveraging AI to scale your business.
Absolutely.
See you in the next one.
Cool. Thanks, man.